Don't tell your parents, but we're taking care of my nephew starting today."
My husband James suddenly brought home his nephew without discussing it with anyone in the family. I couldn't help but raise my voice in anger. We have a teenage daughter, Emma, you know? Think about our family too, not just your brothers. When I told him to leave, he slapped me across the face. Unbelievable! How could he hit me? There's no point in talking to him anymore. I immediately called the parents-in-law. Please help me. My name is Amelia, a housewife in my 40s. I live with my husband James and our daughter Emma. James is a hardworking man, always focused on his job. He's been working late for a few years now, but he rarely complains at home. Our daughter Emma is in 9th grade and preparing for high school. It's a challenging time for her. Lately, she's been arguing more with James, which worries me. We hardly have time to talk during the weekdays because James comes home late. I've been pondering how to make their relationship better, but that's not the only issue. It seems like my brother-in-law's family is facing some troubles. James's younger brother Robert is 3 years his junior. He got married 2 years after we did and has a son, Joseph, who's in 11th grade. We only meet them once or twice a year, but I've often heard complaints about Joseph's behavior. Apparently, he's currently suspended from school for raising his hand against a teacher. I'm actually surprised he hasn't been violent before. To be honest, I don't really like my brother-in-law's family. Robert's wife Olivia just sits and watches TV when she visits our house. She doesn't help with chores, and neither she nor my mother-in-law Emily help me with meal preparation. And Joseph looks down on Emma and often forces her to do things. Robert seems a bit unreliable and can't stand up to his wife and son. He's whipped by his wife and doesn't discipline his son at all. So I've never had a good impression of them and would prefer to keep my distance. Fortunately, we don't see them often, so I've managed to maintain that distance. Then, out of the blue, James said this.
"It seems like Joseph is becoming unmanageable, not just at school, but he's also becoming violent at home. Robert and Olivia are at their wits' end."
Ah, that sounds tough. I tried to give a neutral response, but James leaned in as if waiting for that answer.
"Exactly, it's tough. You think so too, right, Amelia? I wish there was something we could do to help."
I had a bad feeling, so I tried to steer the conversation. Even just listening to Robert is supportive, James. Oh, speaking of which, Emma brought home her mock exam results. I tried to shift the topic to Emma's high school entrance exams, but James didn't seem interested.
Is that so?"
was all he replied. I gave up and headed to the bedroom. Then, 2 weeks later, James came home earlier than usual. And to my surprise, he brought Joseph with him. What? Joseph? I was so shocked that I raised my voice. Joseph barely looked at me and didn't even greet me.
"Here's the living room, and over there's the bathroom."
James started showing Joseph around the house, completely ignoring me. Wait, what's going on? When I asked James what was going on, he calmly said,
"I was thinking about how we could help Robert, and I thought it might be good to take care of Joseph here."
I couldn't wrap my head around it. Take care of Joseph here? Does he mean living with us? How could he make such a big decision without telling me? While Joseph was in the shower, I confronted James. Wait a minute, what do you mean by take care of him here? I wasn't informed about this. James responded just as calmly.
We're looking after Joseph starting today. Keep it a secret from his parents. I thought about this for Robert and Olivia's sake. It's not a big enough issue to involve the parents.
Shockingly, James seemed to feel no guilt. I couldn't help but raise my voice again. Shouldn't you discuss this with the family first? We have Emma, you know. She's at a difficult age, which you should understand. I'm not saying don't think about Robert, but think about us too. The idea of having a boy who's violent towards his own family live under the same roof as my daughter was unthinkable. Who would let that happen? Angry and unable to understand James's thinking, he retorted,
You're so cold. Robert and Olivia are going through a tough time. This is when families should help each other. Joseph has his own issues too. Living away from his parents might be a good experience for him.
All I heard from James were the names Robert, Olivia, and Joseph. He never mentioned Emma or me. No matter how many times we discussed it, James wouldn't budge. I felt a mix of anger and sadness towards James, who wouldn't prioritize his own family. He even defended my brother-in-law's wife.
Olivia has been raising Joseph all this time without abandoning him. Can't you be a little more cooperative? You're so stingy. Why don't you learn from Olivia?
Maybe she's been struggling a lot. But that doesn't mean he can neglect his own wife and daughter to prioritize his brother's family. I couldn't take it anymore and blurted out, If you're going to take care of Joseph, then Emma and I will leave. I don't want Emma living with him. Please reconsider. As soon as I finished speaking, I felt a sharp pain on my left cheek. James had slapped me. A sharp pain stung my cheek. In our 18 years of marriage, he had never raised his hand to me. This slap was a huge shock. Ignoring my reaction, James glared at me sharply.
It's your fault. You're so stubborn, always talking about Emma.
What's wrong with worrying about our daughter Emma?
I've decided to take care of Joseph, so you should just follow along.
At that moment, I realized he would never change his mind. There was no point in talking to him anymore. Just then, Joseph came out of the shower, so I moved to Emma's room. I couldn't stay here and risk something happening to Emma. When I told Emma what was going on, she also wanted to leave immediately. We grabbed the essentials and headed for the entrance. I could hear James's voice berating me, but I kept walking. His insults continued until the front door closed behind us. Once we reached a nearby grocery store, I took out my mobile phone. Please help us. I explained the situation to the parents-in-law, and they said they'd come to pick us up right away. We both sighed in relief. The parents-in-law who came to pick us up listened silently to my story, their fists trembling. When I finished, Father-in-law John said,
I'm truly sorry,
and deeply apologized. John, please lift your head.
No, we bear some responsibility for raising James. Can we handle this matter?
I didn't want to be involved anymore, so I gratefully accepted John's offer. After spending a night at the in-laws' house, Emma and I headed to my parents' home. That night, James called.
You! I told you not to tell my parents. Dad stormed into the house furious. This is your doing. What did you tell them?
James was speaking rapidly, clearly furious. Even after being scolded by his father, he showed no signs of remorse. Instead, he seemed to resent me. I told him, I just told them the truth. That you brought Joseph home without discussing it with the family, that you decided to take care of him on your own, and that you didn't consider Emma and me at all. James clicked his tongue.
You're meddling too much.
I could hear the bitterness in his voice over the phone. I sighed deeply. I never thought he could be so inconsiderate of his family. The word divorce crossed my mind. As I remained silent, he brought up divorce.
Hey, say something. I got scolded because of you. Apologize. And come back home. If you don't come back today, we're getting a divorce.
Fine, let's divorce.
What?
James sounded surprised, probably not expecting me to agree so quickly.
Do you think you, a housewife, can raise Emma alone after divorcing me?
Indeed, I had concerns about finances and the guilt of taking Emma's father away. But more than that, I couldn't see a future with James, who wouldn't prioritize his wife and daughter. Emma would soon be in high school. She didn't need constant care. I could work for money, and my parents would probably let us stay with them for a while. I've made up my mind. I'll figure out the finances. Let's get divorced. I'll sign the divorce papers and send them right away. With that, I hung up. When I told Emma, she agreed with the divorce. The next day, I went to the court to get the divorce papers and send them to James immediately. 2 days later, James called again.
Look, I was wrong. Can we forget about the divorce?
I was puzzled by his unexpected words. Why now? You were the one who brought up divorce. Then James confessed something shocking in a voice that sounded like he was about to cry.
Don't get mad, but I've been having an affair with Olivia.
What? An affair with my brother-in-law's wife? I was too shocked to speak. James continued.
I couldn't leave Joseph alone after Olivia consulted with me. But it seems Olivia told Dad about our relationship when he scolded me. Now he's even angrier, and Mom looks at me like I'm trash.
Well, that's understandable. No parent would want to accept that their son had an affair with his brother's wife. And it's even worse that he neglected his wife and daughter for his affair. James had been lying about working late and meeting Olivia almost every day. Taking advantage of the fact that his brother Robert worked night shifts, Olivia neglected Joseph to have secret rendezvous with James. No wonder Joseph's behavior had deteriorated. Joseph's bad behavior is also the parents' responsibility. Why should I forgive you? I said coldly. Anger surged within me.
Why not?
James's words only fueled my anger. Why not? You still don't get it. You're only apologizing because you don't want to be cut off by your parents, right? And discussing the affair over the phone. If you're truly sorry, you should come over and apologize in person. Raising my voice, I startled James into apologizing.
I was wrong about the affair. I'll end it with Olivia. You're at your parents' house, right? I have work and Joseph is at home. I can't come there to apologize.
I was utterly disgusted. He thinks a phone apology is enough after such a betrayal. In the end, he prioritizes his work and nephew over me and Emma. There's no way I can continue a family life with someone like this. I'm definitely getting a divorce. My resolve hardened. I will never forgive you. You not only brought Joseph home without asking, but you also had an affair. And you think you can be forgiven? You betrayed your family. I can't imagine living with you anymore. We're definitely getting divorced. And I'll be taking alimony and child support.
Oh, wait. If you don't forgive me, I'll be ostracized by everyone. Robert also said he'd cut ties with me. What should I do if I'm cut off by my family?
Even now, he's only thinking about himself. I sighed dramatically and told him, I also want to cut ties with you as soon as possible. Make sure to submit the divorce papers. If you don't, I'll tell your parents again.
I can't believe this.
Do you understand? You have no allies left. You've done that much. If you don't want to repent, at least bear the weight of your sins. James kept trying to justify himself, but I ignored him and hung up. The phone kept ringing, but I never answered. Later, my in-laws came to apologize at my parents' house.
Use this money to support yourself and Emma from now on,
they said, handing me some money.
We're truly sorry for causing you pain. We've decided to cut ties with James. We've told him to stay away from you, Amelia. If there's anything else you want, just let us know.
They ensured that James properly submitted the divorce papers. They even made him sign a pledge to pay alimony and child support. I was grateful for their help, as I had braced myself for a long divorce process. My heart felt a bit lighter knowing they also cared about Emma. A few days after my in-laws visited, the alimony and child support were deposited into my account. Even years later, the child support is still being paid regularly. James, who was engrossed in his affair with Olivia, is still a mediocre employee. He's struggling to make ends meet, paying alimony to me and my brother-in-law, and even taking on debt. He's living alone in an old apartment to pay off that debt. Olivia seems to have cried to her husband Robert after he found out she was cheating on him. But of course this is not acceptable. Olivia, who was also caught in the affair, is working day and night to pay off her debt. Apparently, they broke up immediately after being caught. It seems they were enjoying the thrill and immorality of the affair, and the excitement quickly faded after they were discovered. My brother-in-law is now working hard to mend his relationship with his son, Joseph. They've moved back to the in-laws' house and are living there as a family of 4. With the help of my in-laws, Joseph's behavior is gradually improving. As for me, I'm now working as a full-time employee. My hard work was recognized and I was recently promoted. Emma has been accepted into her desired college, and we're leading a peaceful life. From now on, I want to do everything I can for Emma.